out there on YouTube. I'm going to be your reader for today, Quintari Shakir. Please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com and purchase a private psychic reading. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my videos. We're going to be doing a reading on Mariah Carey. But before I do the reading, I want to advertise one thing off. My friend Intuitive Retta on YouTube, she is creating her own tarot card deck. And this is her photograph of her rendition of Yemaya. And I really, really like it. It's printed on this card stock that feels really, really nice. It's a very beautiful painting. I'm going to try to hold it up close so that you guys can possibly see it. But it's a really, really beautiful painting. A really beautiful painting. This is a 5x7. I think her 5x7s are $15 and she has larger ones for $25. But either way, she ships really, really quickly, and I think that you all should purchase them. She's going to be releasing more of these, I think every month or every other month. And eventually it's going to be crafted into its own tarot deck. I'm going to leave it right here just for you all to continue to view as I do these readings. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into this reading about Mariah Carey. I'm going to shuffle my personality cards to figure out who Mariah Carey is. Okay, so the reading is speaking about Mariah Carey being someone who she's very much in love with small animals, like puppies. She finds small polar bears cute. She's into butterflies. They're showing me in my face what they're painting a picture of is kind of like a fairy's garden with all these very small animals with big eyes, big ears, very cute faces, and they're saying that she naturally has an affinity towards those sorts of creatures. She cares deeply about them. I wouldn't be surprised if she, has small puppies or she keeps a small dog in her purse. They're also saying that Mariah Carey actually likes to gossip a lot, and she gossips a hell of a lot within her service circle. So if you are a hairstylist, a makeup artist for Mariah Carey, you know a lot of what she thinks about other people. At the same time, I'm hearing that when it comes to how she works in the media, she's very she uses coded language to reveal her true feelings about people, and she how do I say this? I would say that if you hung around Mariah Carey, you find that she spends a lot of her time talking about other people. They're also calling Mariah Carey someone she's really, really good to other people. And what I mean by that is she will give you this, the shirt off her back if you're cold. She will serve you tea. She's very, giving. She's very, she tries to naturally be this very giving, this very giving person. There are tons of people in this world who are all about taking and receiving, but in terms of fair exchange, Mariah Carey is a giver. So she will give more than what she takes. They're also saying that Mariah Carey is also an energy vampire. That she, so there are some people that give for their own personal gain. She's one of those people. So she gives and gives because she likes attention, and she likes for the attention to be on her. at all times. And she requires, she's very high maintenance, is what they're saying. She's a high maintenance friend. She's a high maintenance girlfriend. She's a high maintenance person in general, but she's very giving, talks about people a lot, and she really likes to be surrounded by cute things. As a creative person, this is speaking specifically about her creativity. They're saying that she is able to she's able to draw from her own personal experiences in her music, and she's able to emote. She's able to draw on those personal experiences and emote emote in these very specific ways. And she delivers her messages in very specific directions using her voice. What this is telling me is that she's a scientist with music. She's a musician, so she treats her voice as though it's an instrument, and she understands herself as an instrument, which it's metaphor. So metaphorically, that would help to distinguish her from other singers who are singers. And she said, she understands her gift to be that of a musician. They're saying that Mariah Carey is tapped into goddess energy, so she speaks and acts and walks with a very regal authority. She has a presence where you would want to, roll out the red carpet for her. She, carries herself in this very uppity way. They're showing me her with her hands always, in the air, almost as though it's kind of like a, sort of like a worship me. And she really enjoys being around people who are big fans of her. She's very sexual. But she's not erotic. She's a very sexual person, a very sexual being. She enjoys showing off her body, her hips, her curves. She loves looking pretty in the bedroom. They're also describing her as Mariah Carey underneath everything, but she has a very tomboyish energy, tomboyish personality. So I would say that growing up, or perhaps in the beginning of her music career, she had a more she was more androgynous in how she engaged with her music. So perhaps there were some songs that were clearly about a man, but other songs where it was like the song could be sang by a man or a woman. And producers were, fascinated by that about her, kind of that her, and this is what they're telling me, that her singing was this very operatic style, almost as though she was a trained vocalist, at a performing arts institution, but she's just naturally gifted, and she takes lead in the studio. She's very hands-on with every element of her projects, from the production to the lyrics to the mastery of it to the remixes of it, to the legal contracts around it. She has her hands in every single thing, and she learned those things very early on in the industry, but wrapped around this masculine, aggressive way of doing business. Wrapped around all of that is she's encased in this very voluptuous, curvy, feminine, sexual body. They're also speaking about her having a very rebellious attitude, in the ways that she doesn't move in the way that the industry would like for her to move. She does what she wants to do at all times because she feels like she's the center of the universe in her world. She doesn't respect legitimate authority, so she would tell you, I don't care about politicians. That's just so stupid. I don't care about politics. That's just so stupid. We should all just love on each other and buy more of my music. That's how that's how I hear it. But she can be funny, but they're also saying that Mariah Carey is not spiritual in the way that someone like Erica Badu would be. She doesn't. She believes that she is the higher power of the universe. She probably believes in a new age system, but they're saying that she firmly believes that everything in her world extends from her, and everything in her world is for her own entertainment, because she's the queen of her world. All right. If you all have more questions about Mariah Carey that are not answered in this video, please leave them in my comments. I also want to say I do not mind being wrong in my videos, so please tell me if I'm wrong about something. A couple of things that I do want to clear up is about gender. So Spirit doesn't know gender. There are going to be times where I'll say I see a man or I see a woman, and I'm actually describing masculine and feminine energies. So sometimes I'm talking about a gendered body, and sometimes I'm talking about a gendered expression. Generally, Spirit does with gendered expression, but even then, they don't have words for masculine and feminine. There's a push energy and a pull energy. So I know in one video I said that Aaliyah had a sister, and someone called me on the phone and they were like, Aaliyah didn't have a sister, but maybe you were talking about her brother. And I'm like, well, sometimes the Spirit is talking about a feminine energy and a masculine body. And then she goes on to say that she does have a brother and he is effeminate. And that I don't know, but I'm also not trying to justify being wrong, so I don't mind being wrong. Please tell me in my comments if I'm ever wrong. The truth is collaborative. Let's all get to it. So yeah. But with that being said, we're gonna. My first two questions are: what was Mariah Carey's first marriage like, and how did her first marriage affect her? So I'm gonna draw 3 cards for her first marriage, describing what it was like, and then we're gonna talk about how that marriage affected her. Okay. So, in her first marriage, Mariah Carey felt she felt like she felt like she didn't really know what love was at that time. She thought that she was in love. It was her first time having it was her first time in her life having someone that that she enjoys sharing space with, a masculine energy she enjoys sharing space with. I'm hearing that she may have been abused as a child, therefore she had trouble connecting with men growing up as a teen. But with this first marriage, maybe it was in her early 20s, she felt like he loved her more than she loved him. And she knew that she really liked being around this man, but perhaps marriage was way above her head. People have been saying, the culture in which she grew up was, obviously a woman should be married, have a child, so on and so forth. And I don't think that she wanted to have children, but she did want to be married around that time. She was very career focused and career driven. This man had a lot of influence over her career, and because he cared about her so much, she felt pressure to enter into the marriage, and it left her feeling like she was trapped a lot of the times. So she had difficulty connecting with this man because she wasn't truly in love with him. There came a point where he was expecting for them to be on the same wavelength, and she could never allow for her emotions to leave this internal cage, and he didn't have the correct tools to unlock her and help her to repair her childhood damage so that she could emote with him. But even then, I think that if he had helped her to heal the damage, they still wouldn't have been together. This man had lots of money, and he was responsible for helping her acquire lots of money. So perhaps he was managing her, or he was linking her to important business deals. But I'm seeing that she was learning from him, but not in a way that it was he was teaching her. She was just kind of watching things happen, and she's intuitive. So she would, for example, if he booked her a club appearance, and this club appearance, and I'm just giving an example, this club appearance helped her land $1,500. She intuitively knew, hey, I can make $1,500. That was easy. I might not know how to who to contact, but I can find the right people to do that, and I can pay them less than, I can pay them less than what you're collecting from my salary. That also, but this was kind of more of like a business situation for her. That's what I'm hearing. It was all about business for her, and she got what she wanted in the end. But with this particular marriage, it was always like she felt wrong. Things were turbulent in the relationship. There was a lot of emotional imbalance between the two, where he wanted her to be more sensitive, more emotional, and she could never get out of her feelings. Also with sex, the sex was boring. I mean, that's what this card is telling me. The sex was boring. She was attracted to him physically, but there came a point where being married, and having sex became a chore for her. So there was little sex, and they're also telling me that Mariah Carey always wanted to just return to her old life of being single, and she didn't enjoy marriage because she could never have the alone time that she wanted to herself. She, at the time in her life, needed to be in isolation to process her feelings. I'm going to see if they're going to tell me what was his perspective of things. In his perspective of things, he felt like they're from his perspective of things, he felt like the relationship was toxic between the two. But there was also he was cheating with other women. So whatever he wasn't getting out of her, he was getting it from other women on the side. And I think that he, would try to bring those things to light with her, saying, I've been with this other woman, and throw it in her face, but I don't see her really caring about it. It's also but there is always there was a three-way relationship that he would try to use against her, but I don't see her being very much affected by it. That not motivating her to participate more equally in the relationship. Also, from his vantage point, he felt that she never really tried to be in love with him. He felt that she married him as a way for her to open up his for him to open up the doors for her career, and he still feels very deeply about that, to the point that there may be some resentment there. He felt like he only got to experience 10% of what he could have being married to her. He feels like because she didn't try, that he was shortchanged in experience, but at the same time, I'm not saying him wanting to accept responsibility for him creating the cracks in the foundation. It's kind of like he had this very overbearing demeanor about himself, where he's emotional, trying to ask her for too much, asking her to give too much in the relationship. They're also saying that from his perspective, he felt that she was too sensitive, that he had to mince his words with her. He had to speak to her in a certain way to get her to do things, or to be motivated, or to engage with him. She shut down a lot, and then she, for all intents and purposes, I'm hearing the word diva, but I'm hearing it in terms of, they're showing it to me as her just blatantly ignoring him sometimes, and I think that this upset him a lot, because he couldn't get a good conversation out of her. So he never felt he felt like she wasn't really trying in the marriage. Now we're going to talk about how did the marriage affect her in the long term. The marriage affected her in the long term because it brought her the world, where there were different industries looking at her, the world paying attention to her. If it was because of this relationship, Maybe it wasn't just the doors that he opened for her, but the relationship and what it inspired from within her to be able to emote in the way that she does when she sings. And also in addition to that, it's kind of like it was like this relationship was sacrificed for her to have the career. It's like her spirit wanted to reincarnate and to finish things off. Like, she was a great singer in the past, and she never got the sort of success she wanted because she had always been choosing love over the relationship. But what Spirit is telling me is that she came back into this lifetime, and she did her work very early on, and she's been able to sit at the top of what she feels is her throne because of this relationship. So it's a spiritual debt that was repaid by her getting into this marriage and experiencing what it feels like to have a man want you more than you want him. And yeah. So with that being said, they're also saying that there was a lot of emotional abuse in this relationship, and it left her feeling as though she had trouble after this marriage. She had trouble maintaining good, like, healthy, stable relationships with other people. So she has normalized her, I guess you could say, bad behavior. She requires a lot. In order to make it work with Mariah Carey, you're going to find that it's an 80-20. You're going to get 20% of what you want and find yourself giving her 80% of what she wants. And you have to just sometimes enjoy the fact that her presence is her present, and that's how she feels. And she never really felt in a romantic way, she didn't feel as though she had to make things 50-50. It then became all about her because, she had started to realize that she was giving up. She was able to survive her last relationship by not negotiating on things, not trying to compromise on things, not trying to meet him halfway on things. And she realized early on that even if you were to negotiate these sorts of things in a marriage that's already fucked up, I mean, what do you get? You're not going to get what you want at the end of the day, so why negotiate? That's how she processes things. So again, for her, it was all about business in the long run. They're also saying that this particular relationship, she felt like she had to date more aggressively, that she had to, be open to breaking men's hearts. And she's a man eater. But from afar, Mariah Carey appears to be this very, intimidating woman. But up close, she is very nurturing, is very caring when you do get to her core. But it takes a lot for her to, how they're telling it to me is, it takes a lot for Mariah Carey to like a man, just to even get to the point of liking him. For the purpose of courtship, she often just finds men to be, cute. They serve a certain purpose. They do a certain thing. And they're pretty much put on the earth for her pleasure and to serve her. That's how I hear it. Okay, I'm going to shuffle again. Whoops. All right. So they also asked, what was her childhood like growing up, and does she have a drinking problem? So I'm gonna ask, what was her childhood like growing up? And does she have a drinking problem still? Well, I know this for a fact that she did have a drinking problem in the past. People have said that Mariah Carey's voice has deteriorated because of her drinking problem. So I'm just gonna ask: does she still have issues with alcohol? Her childhood growing up. Her parents put her in music programs at a very early age. They knew that she could sing. They saw her star power. They believed in her. So even if they were abusive towards her, they did know that she was going to make them a lot of money. I'm hearing it as Mariah Carey. It's almost as though like if someone conducted an analysis on her natal chart, they would find that she was already destined, to be a force of great influence with music. And I'm seeing it as her childhood upbringing, everything worked for the purpose of her to become a great musician. So it's kind of like in a Jackson 5-ish way. Not to say that it's necessary for someone to be beat on for them to be successful, but that she was raised in a culture that was breeding her success. Kind of like people that know, like any child can be a prodigy. You just have to expose them to the opportunity. And she was exposed to opportunities at a very young age that were setting her up for success. But at the same time, she didn't have much of a childhood growing up. I'm not hearing it as she had lots of friends. So if she wasn't homeschooled, the experience that she had growing up was almost as though she was homeschooled. That she spent not much time with other people. So at a very young age, she was already, prepared and groomed to be, a child star. And her parents had already been trying to connect her to those opportunities. And I'm seeing it as Mariah Carey at a very young age was mature. And she has an older spirit. And I've said this before. Like I think I said that a few minutes ago, that she's a reincarnated soul. But Mariah Carey, they're saying that at a very young age, she understood harvesting and long suffering. That if she put in the work to become perfect when she was young, that she would have the success that she has now. She followed directions. She followed the directions of her parents. Was there any abuse in her household growing up? Yes. Yes, there was. There was abuse, and I know I don't know if and these things don't really matter if she was raised by a mother or a father, but I'm seeing a father. I'm seeing a father figure that she did have to defend herself from because she was physically abused, and with her mom, I think that she was verbally abused. So it went both ways. Kind of like her mom sat by and watched her get hit, and she wanted her mom to step in and defend her, or if it wasn't her father, it was a father figure that was allowed into the home. But I am seeing a female energy that she had to mince her words around. So she wasn't raised by both parents. There is a single parent that she was raised by, and they had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and the situation applies to the male and female energy. And if that makes any sense. But the thing that I definitely am seeing for her is that there was abuse in the home. She did have to defend herself from a lot. She was finding herself mincing her words, tiptoeing around dangers, dealing with how she conducted herself, how she spoke to people. And it was always about getting her career started. So it's like her family wanted to turn her into the family business. And they, again, expose her to tons of opportunities. Some of them they negotiate, and this is what I'm hearing. Sometimes they negotiated for her to get an opportunity, and they may have put her in a situation where she had to sell something or give something. I'm speaking specifically about Mariah Carey. She had to sell or give something at a very young age in order to gain the opportunity that she needed to have. Yeah, that's the most that I'm going to say about that. All right. And the other question was, does she have a drinking problem today? She drinks a lot still, but not to the point where she can't control herself. She has a glass of wine, a bottle of brown. It's like she drinks glasses of wine to start off, but she likes liquor. Okay, don't get me wrong. She likes liquor, and she may not drink liquor all the time, but she likes her a bottle of brown. That's how they're telling it to me. And it's brown liquor, and she still drinks heavily, but she has an incredibly high tolerance for alcohol. Let's put it that way. And she will drink you under the table. I don't want to. And here's the thing. She just enjoys alcohol. I mean, that's just it. She enjoys alcohol. Is she an alcoholic? She's not. Well, let's put it this way. She's not drinking to suppress her feelings. She's drinking to enhance her life experiences. When she does drink, she's drinking at this in this day and age. At this time, she drinks because she has issues with Nick Cannon, and he causes her to drink. So some of the things that he does, kind of like, it's almost like she gets upset with him for using her name or her celebrity. He parlays that into opportunities. So in the background, he has done that before, or she's normally like aggravated with him for some reason, and that causes her to drink. And also, she loves her children very deeply. And she cares very, very deeply about being a mother. The spirits are saying that she judges herself incredibly harshly at times. When she wants to provide everything to her children. Everything to her children. They are spoiled, okay? Her children are incredibly spoiled. And if they complain about anything, she feels even the smallest thing is a failure for her. Because her children are the center of her life. And sometimes she drinks. Sometimes she drinks just to, motivate her to do things for her children the next day. It's like she's a servant. She's a service to them. They get everything that they want. So yeah, she loves alcohol. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that in my comments that makes sense about what I said about her alcohol. She's not an alcoholic. She does drink a lot. She loves alcohol. Oops. There's a card in here upside down. So I'll do one more shuffle.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Spectrum, the mascot for Black Spectrum Network. I want to get an idea from you about future programming. please tell us in the comments which public figures or events you want to learn about. But before you go, tell us which of these public figures should we speak about next. Thank you for supporting Black Spectra Network and our mission to awaken the genetic genius within our community.
Sorry for taking so long shuffling these cards. I know y'all are ready for me to talk again about more about Mariah Carey. So these cards, the first question is, did she love Nick Cannon when she was married to him? I don't know if they're divorced or not. I think she's still married to him. I think there's a card in here that's upside down as well. I guess not. It doesn't really matter. They're already shuffled. Did she love Nick Cannon? What was her relationship like with Whitney Houston? And does she feel accepted by the Black community? I know you all have many more questions about Mariah Carey, but these are the ones that were given to me by my friend Danielle. So everyone say thanks Danielle in the comments, DANIELLE. Say thanks Danielle because she suggested a Mariah Carey meeting. Did she ever really love Nick Cannon? Yes, she did. She did very much. Nick Cannon ignited a fire in Mariah Carey where she felt comfortable re-entering the music scene and releasing more music. He was the reason that he's the reason that she was putting music out. You know, he was the reason that she was trying. He was the reason that she was, you know, trying to make this huge comeback. And she had been dating him. She had been dating him kind of low key for some time, kind of like an on and off thing. And he loved her. He really pursued her. And to a degree, he helped her to learn about the entertainment industry in terms of television. And I think that Mariah Carey may have investments into television or into films, and she gets a residual income or return, passive income from those things because of him. But they did have a great relationship. She was very attracted to him. Obviously, he was very attracted to her. It was paradise for them. She really did love him, and he did love her. That's genuine. It wasn't one-sided at all. She felt that he was a soulmate for her. Kind of like, this guy's my perfect match. I really like him. He's so sweet. He's so funny. And he's very, easygoing. He's not someone that complains about a lot. What I'm feeling about Nick Cannon's energy is that there's, when it comes to romance, he has a very clean, clear energy. He's done his soul work when it came to getting in this relationship with her. More cards with Nick Cannon. What more do I see? They're saying that these two cards in particular are always telling me about music, creativity, writing, the arts. So she got back into, she started writing more music because of him. She drew inspiration from her marriage in a way that she couldn't before. She felt that, one second, she felt that she felt that at a certain point in the relationship, he started to love her more than she loved him. And she has this fear of commitment, of like commitment. She's commitment phobic. That's what they're saying to me. As Nick Cannon began to age in the relationship in terms of his maturity and his wisdom, like becoming a father, turned him matured his energy from this early 20s to like late 40s very quickly. It was a quantum leap for him. And I think that Mariah Carey is not only just attracted to younger men, she's attracted to younger energy. And I think that he kind of looked at this as, he was looking at it almost as, he looked at it as, I'm getting better for my wife so that I can become a better husband. And she saw it as, I'm in love with him. He's a great father, but I don't really know who he is anymore. And I think that things became way too, and this is crazy. They were married, they were married, they were having children, but as soon as he matured, she said, things are becoming way too serious for me. Okay? That's how I see it. She did love him, but things got way too serious for her as he got better. Towards Whitney Houston, mixed feelings, to be honest with you. Very mixed feelings with Whitney Houston. And it's like spirit saying like, my spirit guys are saying to me that there were times where Mariah Carey blocked Whitney Houston from opportunities and times where Whitney Houston blocked Mariah Carey from opportunities. There were times they cooperated, there were times they didn't. Simple as that. They shared, what they did share was they shared some of the same connections. They worked with some of the same people. But it was just I don't see it as there was animosity between the two. But kind of like people putting it in their ear that, did you know she did this to you? Oh, she did this to me, I'm going to do this to her. She's performing here, make sure that she doesn't perform here, sort of thing. Or there sometimes, because they were both such big artists, sometimes they would try to block each other from opportunities, but because of each other's heavy, very heavy star power, they couldn't deny each, like a promoter or an event planner. They weren't gonna deny Whitney Houston performed somewhere, but just best believe that it did get around that someone was trying to do some shady stuff to the other person. I don't see it as they had a very collaborative relationship either. Whitney and Mariah Carey, it's like there's a lot of emotional distance between them. Intellectually, they respected each other, but there was a lot of emotional distance. They never really had meaningful moments with one another. But they both love music so much. They love the craft of music, and neither of them could deny each other's talent. That respect was what bonded them to each other. They're also telling me that they really couldn't bond with each other because Mariah Carey was very plastic with Whitney. Mariah had this very God complex. Whitney was a lot more down to earth, and it was kind of like their vibrations always missed each other. But they did respect one another. It's not like Mariah Carey looked at Whitney as beneath her, but she didn't feel that they were the same sort of energy. So Mariah Carey never felt as though she needed to socialize herself around Whitney to a close degree. But I am seeing that they always had to walk through the same door. So they were publicly visible with each other, and they acted as though that there was harmony between the two. For better or worse, it was kind of like we respect each other. Let's try to make this as cordial as possible. We don't really know each other like that. I've heard you've done this and I've done this, and sometimes they could laugh or joke about those things with each other, but for the most part they would go back to doing a couple of diva-esque or petty-ish things towards one another from behind the scenes. I hope this makes sense. I'm just really trying to say that they didn't have much of a relationship. They didn't have a close relationship to each other, but there were tons of interactions between each other's camps. And Spirit is also saying that they had to be in the public eye together. So they were very familiar with each other's talent. The final question was, does she feel accepted by the Black community? She feels that she feels that she feels that the Black community does accept her, but she's not exactly sure how to get them back to supporting her in the way that they once did. She doesn't know how to attract attention from this newer generation of people. And she almost feels like working in, trying to attract an African American audience is a dead end. And she mainly focuses on white people. As far as a direct answer to my question, does she feel accepted by the Black community? Yes, she does feel accepted, but she's a part of an older generation, and she doesn't know how to get their attention. She also feels that with the amount of money and success that she has, getting their attention in that way is useless. But as far as outside of race and age, she cares mainly about attracting a white audience. In addition, and she feels that by capturing that white audience, she knows that she can circulate her music to Black audiences and capture their interest to a degree. So with that being said, I'm not seeing it as she doesn't feel accepted. She feels accepted, but she's a businesswoman now, and she's just like, hey, here's where I work. Here's what I care about, and here's how to capture what I care about and what I do. All right, so that's the end of this reading. These are all the questions that my friend Danielle sent to me. So please go to www.blackspectrumnetwork.com and purchase a private psychic reading. Please let me know in my comments what other celebrities you want me to read about. Just know that all of my videos release on Tuesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll be back with another video. Bye.
I just wanna fly away. First class out of space.